Hello, Internet. I'm me. And this is Kamen Rider Fourze, episode 11. Yes, I got the episode number right this time. Jesus Christ, it's not like a miracle or anything. I'm looking at it right there and on my phone. Yes, I'm using cheat sheets this time. Screw you. Anywho, this is a special episode. Why? Because this is the first episode where we don't have to focus on one character. For the love of God, it is progress. This is a Kingo and Yuki episode, and I'm actually pretty happy for this episode. It's not fantastic, but it's pretty good. The reason it's not fantastic is honestly one weird reason. I can't remember how it started. Hold on. Let me use my cheat sheet of my old flip phone here. Yes. Ah. It starts out with Yuki going up to a classroom where a nerd, is of course sitting alone in his classroom with his astrology studies. Being a nerd, being lanky and wearing glasses with bad teeth and poor hygiene. Yeah, we nerds do that, We can't get a girl. We look all lanky and not muscular whatsoever. We wear glasses. I watch the History Channel for fun. You don't see me all lanky and I'm not going to a rant. But anyway, this nerd has been stalking Yuki or getting stalkerish for Yuki's taste, to where he's been leaving tons, and I mean tons, of love notes and love letters and love gifts and love text and other things like that, to a point where Yuki's kind of like, stop. You're starting to get stalkery. In my opinion, I don't know how the hell he got all that stuff in her locker, or how she got all that stuff over there, because it was quite a lot. It's quite a lot. But of course, she tells him off, she leaves, and as she walks away, turns out this nerd has an astro switch. And I'm like, oh, cool, what is he gonna be? He's a bug. Yeah, he's a giant creepy bug. Cliched, you're stepping in it. Anywho, and then we go over to the rabbit hatch, where, Gintaro, the cheerleader, the jock, and Kengo are all just, and the emo chick, Yamoko, who are all just pretty much hanging out. Well, more of Kamen Rider Fourze is actually using the bright switch to scare the crap out of JK because, he likes being a jerk sometimes, and it's just fun to mess with JK because he overreacts to everything. So they're just hanging out, being themselves. When it turns out, well, yeah, they're just hanging out, talking about switches, and decide to go get some ramen. Ramen. Yeah, ramen in Naruto. Good times. Anywho, so they go out to go get ramen, but when Yuki tries to come back to the locker that leads to the rabbit hatch, yes, I still don't question why a locker leads to the moon. I still don't question that. The teacher, the spandex teacher, I just call him Mr. Spandex because he's awesome like that, actually comes across Yuki going into the closet that says no use. So he knows that something's going on inside and starts snooping around, which leads Gintaro and the others to be stuck inside the locker. And of course, Yuki, being the smart girl that she is, says it's the other teacher that Mr. Spandex has the crush on. And it says it's her old locker and is wanting to throw it away. So she puts a "to be disposed" sign on the locker. Not very smart, but still, whatever. It gets the job done, along with the jock actually distracting the teacher by saying, well, Mr. Spandex, the girl you like, is looking for you right now, getting her away. So everybody comes out of the locker and goes on to their way, but the to be disposed sign is still on the locker, and we'll get into that later. So Gintaro and Yuki go over to the I think it's like a space center where they go out and check out all the cool space stuff. Even though they can go to the moon at any time, Yuki points out that it's her dream to actually get there to the moon by her own bootstraps, by actually working hard and being able to get there on her own, which is actually a very noble cause and a very noble dream. Now, of course, Kisaragi is kind of like, whatever. And here is where the reason I'm mentioning this is not only because of the character development of Yuki, it's also because this is where we figure out that the principal of the school is actually an ex-astronaut and now a scientist. And I'm just going to spoil it for you right now, which isn't going to be, I don't think, revealed for a couple of episodes, but yeah, he's the guy giving away the switches. Done. We're done here. Anyway, we know who our main villain is. He's the principal. Anywho, that's also the reason. Also, the principal has been prepping the high school students to actually be better astronauts and be able to go into space. So that's why Yuki actually came to the high school in the first place. We still don't know why Gintaro's there, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get some information on that later. So anyway, as the two are going out, and Kisaragi is of course going, when can we get some ramen? And I'm kind of with him on that one. Of course, Bug Maniac, Pokemon reference. Bug Maniac says, "Not so fast. You're my girl. Get away from Kisaragi." And does the switch. Doesn't know he's Kamen Rider Fourze. And is like, haha, I can find you anywhere because I have that special ability. And I'm like, cool. I still don't get how, but cool. I guess it's like the antennas he has can send out signals and he can find anything. But whatever. So he fights Kisaragi. Kisaragi goes Fourze, kicks his butt. Well, actually, the thing about this is, I'm going to have to talk about this fight scene for a quick second, but the fighting style of the nerd is actually very impressive due to the fact that he is a nerd and he has these huge blades on his hands. So what does he do? He just wildly swings, which I didn't think Kisaragi would actually fall for, but he does fall for because he's actually not a very skilled fighter. He's got a little skill, not too much. But of course, later on in the episode, he does fight him again and does get past the whole wild swinging thing and shows that he actually learns from his mistakes. Something that most people would actually miss. Anywho, the Power Dizer, yeah, that's how he says it. Anyway, comes in and beats the crap out of the bug. He goes flame, tries to burn him. He gets away, of course, duh. This is Kamen Rider. You don't just kill the monster the first time. Anyway, they all are like, okay. And of course, Kengo was like, I would have been there at the battle, but I am stuck on the rabbit hatch. And it turns out the locker is missing because, of course, the janitorial staff threw it away. So they frantically run around before they figure this out, but I'm just going to skip all of that and just say, yeah, they threw it away. And, of course, before all this, they actually figure out how that locker leads to the moon. And it turns out Kengo got a present when he was for his birthday, and wanted to look at it in secret. And of course, it had no sender. He just got a present, and it was actually a golden switch, like the Kamen Rider Fourze switches. It was a golden switch. He didn't know what it did. He turned it, but when Yuki actually first shows up and goes, "Hey, I want to be your friend," he quickly throws his gift and the switch into the locker, closes it, to make sure that, she doesn't see what he has. And it turns out the switch actually used the locker as an activation to create a pathway to the moon base. So that's actually how it happened. It's not just some silly locker that leads to the moon. it actually makes sense of how it happens. So I was actually pretty happy for that. We still don't know where the switch came from or who sent it, but it at least gives us something to base theories off of, and actually set stone. I'm kind of wanting to say it's the principal who did it, or probably Kengo's father, but it might be the principal. I don't know why, I just have a feeling. Anywho, of course, Kengo says, yeah, I got up there and I saw, like, oh, then they explain, like, Kengo's father developed the Fourze drive and also said, figured out what a Zodiac was and yada, yada, yada. And of course, everyone's like, okay, we gotta go find the locker, bring it back, and get it here and get him out. And of course, Yuki, knowing that her friend is in trouble here, goes off and finds the nerd again, has him turn into his bug form, and uses his antennas that he used to stalk her to find the locker, which is in a junkyard somewhere. That is completely untouched. It's like a locker that's just standing there, off in the open. Because, in a junkyard, they just put everything in its rightful place in a nice, neat order. Anyway, they, of course, the nerd was lying and just wanted to see her cry. Ha ha ha. I know this means a lot to you, so I'm going to destroy it. Cool. You're evil. Whatever. No one cares. So he tries to destroy it. Kisarigi comes up and goes, haha, I tracked Yuki, so I was here when I knew you tried to destroy the locker. And I was like, fight. And then they fight. And of course, they're fighting. Kisarigi is kicking the nerd's ass, wiping him on the floor. And of course, it turns out the nerd now has a new power of telekinesis. Whatever he can see, he can move. So he throws Kisarigi up against something and then goes back for the locker. Kisarigi goes, you know what, screw it. Does the radar and launcher. For a couple of times, he didn't even need the radar, but, fuck it. Locks on and tries to shoot missiles at him. And of course, the nerd is like, I can move anything I see. So he moves the missiles and blows up the locker, leaving Kengo left on the moon. No idea how they're going to get him back. And that's how the episode ends, actually. The locker is destroyed, and we have no idea how to get him back. And it looks pretty bleak, which I like. This episode is fantastic for this. I like how it actually leaves us with something that I don't know how they're going to get him out of it. I'm pretty sure they're going to get him out of it because you need the rest of the series, but how? When? What are they going to do? And how is it going to connect with this monster now? And I can't wait to see what is going to happen. And I actually want to know more about this episode. And that actually intrigues me. Bringing this episode up from what I was going to give it, which was going to be a 7.5 or an 8, to a solid 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10. This intrigue and this ending is really what brings me into this episode. Even though the opening was a little weak and something minor and almost forgettable, to where you don't even care about the setup, you just want to see the action. So this ending actually makes up for its lukewarm beginning that was forgettable. So honestly, I want this as a 9.5, a nice solid episode, to something that I actually do want to see on a two-parter, instead of something where I go, yeah, part 1, now skip over and watch part 2, so that I can just get this over with. This is actually a good two-parter, and actually shows something to where I get to see a monster evolve in its own power. Something that actually gives me an excuse to see it escape and then come back. Not just have its same power, escape, and then come back. So, that's all I've got to say about this episode. Until next time, I see you guys for Kamen Rider Fourze, episode 12. Peace.